In Uzbekistan, the Christians and Muslims were in prison together. So they got along until they got out. And then they became sectarian again. So Majid and I, we went and we did the retreat there in Tashkent. And David Saperstein was with us on that event. They were amazed to see Majid and I laughing together, having fun together, lecturing together, eating together. I enjoyed the horse. He did not, but I thought it was very good. They enjoyed watching all of that. It's sad to say they had never seen people getting along together. Here's the second thing that happened. The imams and the Christians got to know one another. Some of the Muslims would not allow the church to be built. After being together for one day, the Muslims approached the Christians and said, "You will get your church." That's powerful.
So Bob, I'd like to ask you to make one last comment, and maybe Imam Majid and I can certainly speak to this. When the American Caravan started, and it is a paradigm, it's not the only thing, but this is what Sheikh Ben Bai envisaged. He took a situation in which we knew that evangelical Christians were the greatest perpetuators at the time of Islamophobia. They had not had the engagement. Sheikh Ben Bai understood that it had to be that face-to-face engagement, knowing each other's soul, that when I stood face-to-face with another, it was so hard. When I met him the first time in his home, I embraced him after I said to him, "Ani Yosef Achicha, I am Joseph, your long-lost brother." And there was a tear that rolled out. That personal thing, what have you two witnessed in the transformation, in the fact that since we began the caravan, you have coming to Abu Dhabi evangelical ministers who are engaged in this like everyone else? What do you see the potentials of this?
I think I'm excited about today. I'm more excited about 10 years from now. I'll be honest, I'm 61. So many people my age that are evangelical pastors get nervous about being good friends with Muslims. Not the guys in their 30s and their 40s and their early 50s. I had an Islamic scholar ask me this morning, "Bob, how have you convinced Christians to have a different view of Muslims?" Here's what I told him. I have not. It's not a matter of information. It's a matter of relationship. When you put somebody in a room for 3 days, lock the door, and you're going to become friends, it's a game changer.
Yeah, we have real examples of the thing happen on the ground. There's a pastor of Phoenix here. You see here? Pastor of Phoenix. Yeah, he's a member of his church. Went and helped the Muslims in Phoenix when a group of people came surrounding that mosque to integrate Muslims. And he was part of the retreat where he brought his member of his congregation to say to those group of people, "This is not how you treat Muslims." Or we have members from your congregation showed up in our mosque after the tragedy in New Zealand. We have members of our community showed up in Senegal after the tragedy in Pittsburgh. We have members of our community showed up in Catholic churches after Sri Lanka events. Therefore, it is not about only talking to one another, but supporting and protecting one another and being there for each other at difficult times.
So, unfortunately, being part of the Jewish tradition, I have to say that it can't be all good news. We have to think about the skepticism. And so, Kent, I want to ask you, how do we respond to skeptics regarding the usefulness of declarations such as the Charter for a New Alliance of Virtue? You've been around the block many times, you've seen these. What are the things that we have to worry about, and how do we respond to such skeptics?
Right, I think it makes no sense to pretend that there aren't those who are skeptical about what's happening today. And I think there's two forms the skepticism takes. The first form says, you know, the individuals, the organizations, even the countries associated with this charter are far from perfect. Indeed, they don't embody the ideals of the charter. It nullifies the worth of the charter. And here's what I think we ought to say about that. That's true. It is true that all of us who sign this charter today are fallible human beings. We haven't and we don't fully embody what is in this charter. But let me tell you a very painful personal story about my own country. The words of the Declaration of Independence of 1776 have become famous throughout the world. And remember what these words said. They begin, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And these include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now here's the sad part of the story. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote those words, had 100 slaves. 40% of all the souls in the southern states were not free. 1/5 of all of the souls in the 13 original colonies were not free. And yet there was this magnificent declaration of truth, divine truth. It took us almost 100 years before the pressure of the disconnect between what were in those words and the reality on the ground, before we were able to live in more accord with those truths. I'm not concerned that we're fallible. I am concerned if we don't try to do better. Now, the second objection that might be raised is this. A lot of people in the world say, we've seen these declarations before. Nice photo ops, nice pictures. But in a few weeks, these charters, these declarations will be gathering dust on some shelf. How do we respond to that? Again, I think we have to be honest. So often what we say is not implemented. We fail to change the reality on the ground. And here's how I think we have to respond to that. I think there's 3 ways we can respond. The first is that we have to agree to hold ourselves and each other accountable to what's in this charter. We have to do it that way. And this forum has consistently done something that I think is very important, number 2. And that is, we must move from the words to, whenever possible, we need to put it in the legal framework. And finally, number 3, and perhaps most important by far, more important than law, is culture. If we do not embody the principles of this charter in the curricula, in the social media, in the moral and educational shaping parts of our society, it will just gather dust. But I'm convinced that if we do these things, we can look back on the charter one day, much like we look back on the 1948 Declaration of Human Rights, which has had a tremendous impact. But if this is going to happen, we have to commit ourselves to transforming the words into changed reality.
And I believe this is why this document is such a simple and basic and concise document. And the brilliance of what Sheikh bin Bayed did in gathering a group of people to do this was that it had been value engineered before. He consistently looked and sent out emissaries and all sorts of activities they're doing. Imam Majid, Bob Roberts, myself, and the 60 clergy that were engaged in the United States were seeing that the alliance can be a success in terms of model. So I know the American community, that's fine, and it's understanding. But Dr. Sanusi, you understand religious communities around the world. It's very hard when I WhatsApp you to find out which country you are. But how do you see this document engaging the religious communities around the world, and most importantly, the global crisis that we face today? How is this document proactive in that sense? Because it is, we face the globe has more refugees than ever. We have more hate crimes than we've ever had. We have hate speech that is proliferated in every country in the world, and now hate speech is turning into acts of violence. How do you see this on a global level having such an impact?
Well, thank you so much, Rabbi Listic. And let me begin by I'm very hopeful about this alliance of virtue. And I always wanted to basically really bring you back to the strong foundation of this alliance of virtue. And always the strong foundation of this alliance of virtue going back to the Marrakesh Declaration. And I always say the path to the Marrakesh Declaration was not easy. It was difficult, but it built a strong foundation to get the alliance of virtue today. For Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayy here to get the consensus from the Muslim scholars around the world on the Marrakech Declaration, there were so many behind those meetings. There were so many conferences. There were so many consultations between communities and governments and various segments of societies. Then we get the foundation, which is the Marrakech Declaration, which is actually building all of these initiatives that you are already heard about. And now we have the Alliance of Virtue. Let me acknowledge, Rabbi Lustig, the world is facing so many problems. It is true. You mentioned some of them. We have environmental problem, we have poverty, we have lack of education, we have lack of religious freedom, we have all kinds of problems. We see the Alliance of Virtue is a document to help contribute to resolve these problems. Why is that? Because again, going back to the foundation was strong and it was accepted from around the world, accepted by religious communities, accepted by multilateral organizations around the world, accepted by governments, applauded and appreciated by heads of states, and above all, the religious communities. The grassroots religious communities accepted Marrakech Declaration. So when you have a solid foundation, then we're hopeful the Alliance of Virtue provide that opportunities to communities and religious communities and the society at large to implement. The implementation of this document, which is implementable, need to take what I call it the whole society approach. No one left behind. Because the Alliance of Virtue document, it's not a religious document. Therefore, everyone is invited to contribute to the implementation of these documents. And here, in this conference, the way we designed the programs of this conference, we wanted to engage all of you coming from around the world tomorrow to study the documents. We know and we realize around the world that each continent, they have their own context. We want each group to study the documents and fitting their own context and come back to us come back to the forum, come back to Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayy with ideas how this Alliance of Virtue could be implemented in all of these places around the world. So I'm really very hopeful that this document will help us to contribute because it is inclusive.
So I think at this juncture, we should take a moment. In my tradition, we say a Shekhinani, a prayer that says, thank us for bringing us to this moment in time. And I want to recognize that Dr. Muhammad Matar Al-Kabi has in so many ways, and with the United Arab Emirates, has given all of us an understanding of how a nation state can implement the virtues of the Alliance of Virtue. They've had a year of tolerance that has been unprecedented in world history, unprecedented in the way its inclusiveness, its compassion. And we give a special thanks to our teacher and the one who embodies this and who has a vision, Sheikh bin Bayy, because Sheikh bin Bayy has had the wisdom to embody truth and give us an opportunity to act on truth through this Alliance of Virtue. So I personally want to applaud Sheikh bin Bayy and this Alliance of Virtue which he brought into existence. In a moment, we will turn to a signing ceremony. And I know a table has to be brought forth at this time to do that. In this signing, there is something in my tradition that we talk about being signed each year into the Book of Life. Today, ladies and gentlemen, when our names appear on this roll in the signing of this significant historic document, we have an opportunity to sign ourselves into history, to sign ourselves into a better tomorrow, an opportunity that we should all be very proud of. So at this time, I'd like to turn the ceremonies over to Dr. Sanusi.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Bruce, and thank you so much to this, extraordinary panel here. So let's thank the panel together, and please take your seat. Thank you so much. So, So Pastor Bob Roberts just brought to the table a special pen called what? Peace. So this, I see. So this peace pen will actually symbolically, we will invite you, the religious actors representing various communities, to sign the document. Thank you. We will give you to you back. Thank you so much.
We want to remind people that there's a new document for each of you, the New Alliance of Virtue, Charter for Global Peace, that will be available, that is as unique, that is a historic document and a momentum of this historic case.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Lester. Now allow me to invite few religious leaders and actors to the stage. And the way we want to do this, I know all of you have read the Alliance of Virtue documents. So I wanted to invite His Eminence Mufti Shawqi Alam, the Mufti of the Grand Mufti of Egypt. And I also wanted to invite our good friend Rabbi David Rosen to the stage. I also wanted to invite Sheikh Mustafa Serij to the stage. Rabbi Rosen, David Rosen, I saw him earlier here, is on his way. And I want to invite Sister Aisha Al-Adawiya. Sister Aisha is the trustee member of the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies. And I want to invite Bai Singh Sahib. Bai Singh, where is Bai Singh Sahib? Bai Singh is actually represent the Sikh communities around the world. And our own Cardinal John Anaikan, the Archbishop of Nigeria. Where are you, Cardinal John? And I want to invite also our good friend, Catherine Laurie. Catherine is representing the ELCA, which is the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. So, this particular panel, we wanted each of you to give us, Catherine, please take a seat. We want each of you to give comment on the Alliance of Virtue, on the documents. So these are very short comments, maybe 2 minutes each. And we wanted also to acknowledge that these documents is available for all of you. And you have received the documents as well. And we wanted to hear from this representation from the wall about the documents and how these documents can contribute to interreligious dialogue and understanding and actually advancing the common good that the Alliance of Virtue is actually calling for. So I want to begin with you, Catherine. If you can tell us how these documents are going to help the evangelical, the ELCA to advance interfaith, and you have been working in interfaith, and you are the director of the interfaith relations for this mega church in the United States.
Thank you, Dr. Sanusi. Your Eminences and esteemed delegates, it is an honor to join you here representing the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. For decades, our church has engaged locally, nationally, and globally in interreligious partnership, including through the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign in the United States. All of this work and the learnings from it culminated earlier this year in the adoption of an interreligious policy statement which guides the common commitments of our church to interreligious dialogue. This policy statement stands on two pillars of seeking mutual understanding and cooperation for the common good. These two pillars are articulated with some specificity in 12 commitments. 2 of them are very closely tied to our shared commitments here in the Peace Forum. I'd like to share them with you. They read, the ELCA, in dialogue with our partners, will seek to understand the religions of the world so as to enhance mutual understanding, as well as to be able to identify the misuse of any religion to justify oppression such as violence, genocide, or terrorism. And the second, the ELCA will defend human rights and oppose all forms of religious bigotry, violence, and discrimination, and persecution, and stand in solidarity with those who experience them, whether they are Christian or of another religion or worldview. Therefore, we are committed on this basis to the Charter of the New Alliance of Virtue, which calls for the elevation of virtues as understood by the 3 Abrahamic religions in the service of peace, tolerance, and mutual understanding between all people, irrespective of race, ethnicity, or religion. On the basis of our policy statement, we will share this with our leadership, including our synod bishops and their local congregations for which they care. And we will affirm our commitments with all of you and your communities to uphold its principles and objectives in the domains and through the means articulated, especially through sustainable development globally and educational initiatives locally, with equal participation of women and men and inclusion of young people. 502 years ago, Martin Luther said, "Here I stand." And today, your Lutheran partners are ready to say, "Here we journey on this shared alliance of virtue." We are committed and look forward to the journey ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. And Catherine, if you can come and sign as representing the Evangelical Lutheran Church and how this new journey could support the Evangelical. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you. Our next speaker is the Grand Mufti of Egypt, Dr. Shawki Anna.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معالي الشيخ عبد الله بن بية حفظه الله ورعاه، رئيس منتدى تعزيز السلم، أيها الإخوة الحضور، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. نحن اليوم أمام حدث تاريخي يمتد جذوره إلى الماضي قبل بعثة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. يمتد إلى هذه الدار، دار عبد الله بن جدعان، وإلى هذا التفاهم الإنساني في ذلك الوقت. ثم إن هذا التفاهم الذي حدث زكاه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال: لو دعيت إلى مثله في الإسلام لأجبت. إذن هذه دعوة أيضا لنا إلى أننا نجيب لكل مطلب يحقق الخير للبشرية ويحقق الأمن والاستقرار للعالم. نحن اليوم أحوج ما نكون إلى هذا الحلف. اجتماعنا هذا اليوم مع المفكرين ومع الباحثين ومع أصحاب القرار ومع أولي الرأي ومع أولي العقول السديدة الرشيدة، نحن نصنع حدثاً تاريخياً نحن نحتاجه اليوم لدفع الظلم الذي وإن كان في بدايته عند نشأة هذا الحلف القديم إنما يدفع ظلماً فردياً، نحن الآن أظن بأننا سندفع ظلماً جماعياً. البشرية اليوم في حاجة ماسة إلى اجتماعنا، إلى اتفاقنا، إلى هذه الأفكار السديدة الرشيدة التي تدفع الإنسانية إلى الأمام. هنيئاً لدولة الإمارات العربية الشقيقة، هنيئاً للقائمين على أمر المنتدى، هنيئاً لمعالي الشيخ عبد الله بن بية، هنيئاً لكم جميعاً أن تكونوا في هذه اللحظة الفارقة من عمر البشرية. شكرا لكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
شكرا معالي المفتي، لو توضح لنا من وكلمة ذكرها فضيلة مفتي مصر، قال أن حرف الفضول اليوم من خلاله نرفع ظلما جماعيا. So the inclusivity and the collectiveness of these efforts is really appreciated. Thank you so much. And now it is my honor to give the floor to Rabbi David Rosen. Rabbi Rosen, please.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with you, but I'm very aware of the famous words of the comedian Carl Valentin. Everything has been said, even if not everyone has said it. So I don't think I have much to add what has been said, but I do want to be able to congratulate Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayer and all his colleagues who have facilitated this remarkable document. Allow me to both offer a word of caution and an expression of hope. I think it is unrealistic to expect that a document changes people's approaches. But a document is not so much the factory of change, it is more the assembly point of such. In other words, a document can reflect, should reflect, developments that are taking place within a society and in a larger context. And that for me is the enormous significance of this Charter of Virtues, this declaration, that is reflecting something profound that has taken place. It is, I think, a stage of maturity in which communities are not battling down the shutters in isolation and withdrawal out of insecurity, but opening up truly to one another, in a recognition that today the divisions are not between religions, but within religions themselves, between those whose worldviews are narrow-minded, insular, isolationist, deprecatory of the other, and those who embrace one another, recognizing the truth that if God has created us in all our diversity, then there must be diverse ways of relating to God. And that, to utilize the beautiful words of the late Bishop of Stockholm, Krista Stendhal, we must leave room for holy envy. That means that no one religion should be so arrogant or short-sighted to think that all truth and all nobility is exclusive within it. God is more than any one religion. And to claim that we have a monopoly on truth or virtue is ultimately an insult to the divine source that has created the diverse world and the diverse paths. So what this document, this declaration, this charter reflects is the embrace of other approaches towards the divine, the recognition that our relationships are not simply force majeure, that we have no choice but to live together. We are not here because we have no choice. We are here because we choose to respect one another, choose to celebrate one another, choose to recognize the beauty in one another. Krista Stendhal says, leave room for holy envy. What does that mean? It's nice when we meet and we say, you do that, we do that. It's nice, we have so much in common, that's great. But there's nothing disloyal to your own tradition. To see in another tradition something beautiful that is special to that tradition. Celebrate it, respect it, admire it, applaud it. Present other religions in your own community according to their most beautiful and virtuous values. That's what we have to do. And I must say, especially as a rabbi, it is extremely exciting, liberating, and hopeful to find that I can come to a gathering like this with Muslim and Christian leaders and do not feel that I am under the pressure of political partisanship or burdens, but that there is a genuine desire to know one another. In accordance, of course, with the ayah mentioned already of 49:13 of the Quran, idea which is also expressed within many of the prophets within the Bible. That indeed the encounter with the other is ultimately the encounter with the divine presence in the other. To know one another is ultimately to know the divine, to know God within our world to a greater extent. And it is this wonderful religious, ethical, moral impulse that resonates from this document, which is not so much, again, the factory, but is the testimony, the assembly line, to something magnificent that is happening here and it reflects trends beyond, in the UAE and even further abroad, in which perhaps religion can be what it should be, the blessing for all humanity.
If you can come and sign symbolically also. So Rabbi Rosen mentioned keywords in his remarks. Rabbi Rosen قال أن هذا الحلف يعكس شيئا ونضجا جديدا ويفتح باب الحوار والتعاون مع الجميع، وقال أنه مقاربة جديدة للتقرب للرب، وأنه يحضر هذا الاجتماع ولا يشعر بأي ضغط سياسي، ولكن الهدف الأساسي من هذا اللقاء هو للتعارف والتعاون. Thank you so much, Rabbi Rosen. Mufti Sirch, your comment, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. I would like to ask you, why should you read this charter?
ميثاق حلف الفضول. Why should you memorize this ميثاق حلف الفضول, and why should you take it home and read this charter to your children? Listen to me now, why? Abu Dawud radiallahu anhu in Sunan collected 4,800 hadiths. This is one of the 6 authentic hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he finished his Sunan, he said, there are 4 hadiths that contain all of these 4,800. And these 4 hadiths, I cannot read all of them, but I will read you 2. The first one is Al-A'malu bin-Niyat. The deeds are measured by the intention. And the second hadith is ما كان المؤمن مؤمنا حتى يرضى لأخيه ما يرضى لنفسه. And the third was حسن الإسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. And the fourth one was الحلال بين والحرام بين وبينهما أمور متشابهات. I will just comment on these 2 first. Is the intention of this charter clear? And what is intention? I guess our Allama Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayha, I know what is in his mind and his intention. So I read his mind to translate to your mind. The intention of this charter is the peace and security in the world. Very simple. Did you remember that? Yes, you do. And the second is, and I know also what is in the heart of the Shaykh bin Bayt. In his heart is, he likes to others what he likes for himself. Do you remember now? These 2 simple principles I would like you to carry out with you when you go to home. And I would now be in the position of Abu Dawud radiallahu anhu and tell you, you have collected so many charters. You read so many proclamations, declarations, resolutions, all these things all around your whole life. But remember this. This chapter contains all what you have done and read so far. And you should memorize this charter as you will memorize hadith. And you should memorize this charter as you will memorize your Bible. And if you do so, I think you have right to come back again to Abu Dhabi to see me. And finally, 2 points, because my moderator is my friend and he will give me some protection. And one is, humanity is one. There are no 2 humanities. I understand why we are talking about diversity, but we should focus on one thing. We are one humanity. There are no 2 humanities. And therefore, why? Because the Creator is the one and the same to all of us. And we should remember that. And finally, I would like to those people who are not Arabic speaking, speaking not Arabic, to remember this by this word, mithaq hilful fudul. Don't translate this. This cannot be translated. You know, when I take Macintosh and Apple, I cannot translate that. It is just Apple, right? So this is brand that is coming from Abu Dhabi today on behalf of my ummah, Muslim ummah, that should be known to the whole world, not only on the earth, but also in the heaven. And this is why we're here. And this is why we are taking today, as God said to the Prophet, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ. Mithaq, it means covenant, not only the charter. So may God bless you. And please come back to Abu Dhabi again with this knowledge. I will ask you, you must repeat me when I ask you. Do you remember what I told you today? Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. Mufti Sirish, if you can come and sign. So Mufti Sirish mentioned the key word. قال أن هذا الحلف هدف هذا الحلف هو الأمن والسلام في العالم. وأيضا ذكر حب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك. وأيضا أشار إلى أن نحن اليوم نتحدث عن وحدة الإنسانية. Thank you so much, Mufti Sirish. Thank you. Thank you. Now I would like to invite our Cardinal here, Cardinal John Anaikon, the Archbishop of Abuja.
Thank you very much, my friend and brother, Sanusi, for giving me the great honor to more or less somehow represent in this podium the Holy Roman Catholic Church. Even though I'm not officially appointed to do so, but as a cardinal of the Holy Roman Church, I think it's an appropriate choice. It is not saying too much to say that our humanity is actually at a great crossroads as we sit here today. Some people talk of crisis, but crisis in the double sense of a great danger on the one hand, and great possibilities for positive change on the other. It's now left to us to choose which direction we want to go. And the choice is in our hands. And I firmly believe that this kind of gathering is a sure sign that there are many people in the world who want to take the proper choice of a future that is better, more peaceful, more prosperous, and therefore more acceptable to God. That is why I'm very happy to be part of this gathering. And my church, under the leadership of Pope Francis, has constantly in the past and worked along this direction, especially since 50 years ago with the Second Vatican Council and the great, you can call it, yes, changes that we have gone through in our understanding of why God puts us right now in the world of today. That we are not alone in this world, that indeed the good and the well-being of the entire humanity is our mission. And that can be done without in any way denying any of the firm truths that we hold. Following on the rabbi, as we Christians always follow the Jews, not only temporarily, but in other ways too. And so we find ourselves in a critical situation, both on the material level and on the spiritual level. As we are meeting here, we don't forget that right in Madrid, there's a meeting going on, which is a follow-up to the Paris meeting on climate change. That the world is beginning to be afraid that we are killing ourselves. We are destroying our common home, to use the expression of Pope Francis. And there too, people are insisting that a radical change is expected, is needed if we are to survive. Now, what we are doing here seems to be a very adequate counterpart on the spiritual level to the effort that has to be made on the material level. Namely, that we cannot survive in our world of today if we continue to divide ourselves on the basis of faith, especially on the basis of faith. Since, as my brother from Seneca just said, there's only one humanity, just as there is only one God. Therefore, all efforts that we made to seek common grounds And to embrace ourselves in our differences is an effort in the right direction, which will guarantee the possibility of peace in our world. Final point. If we are expecting the politicians out there to take the right decisions and make the efforts to change their attitudes in order to make our world a better place, surely religious leaders should give the example. Do the same, sincerely and seriously, so that the world may survive. To the greater glory of God. Thank you very much. I'm happy to sign.
Thank you. Please come, Cardinal John is the كبير مطارنة أبوجا، وذكر أن في كلمته القصيرة أن تركز على وحدة الإله ووحدة الإنسانية، وتحدث عن هذه الجهود أنها في الاتجاه الصحيح لتمكن من السلام، وكذلك دعا للتعاون ما بين السياسيين والقيادات الدينية لتعزيز وتطبيق حلف الفضول. Thank you so much, Cardinal Anaika. Thank you, God bless you. Now it's my pleasure and honor to invite Bai Sahib as representative of the Sikh community. He represents the major Sikh organizations around the world and can tell us how this alliance of virtue can contribute and advance and align with Sikhism teaching so that we can promote peace.
Thank you so much. Blessed brothers and sisters, my respects and greetings to you, each and every one. Allow me to salute you in the Sikh traditional way. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. It is an honor and a great privilege to be here. Please accept my gratitude for facilitating our participation in this historical 6th Assembly. Whilst there have been many charters and covenants, this charter of the new Alliance of Virtues is a special, groundbreaking charter of the 21st century. It has been painstakingly formulated by a host of organizations and exalted human souls. It will pave the way forward for peace building, religious solidarity, human flourishing and betterment. It will also act as a catalyst for the global inter-religious movement. I said, this is a special charter. Why I say so? I am a Sikh. A Sikh is a lifelong learner. We have a sacred scripture called Guru Granth Sahib Ji. This sacred scripture is our eternal Guru from 1708. It informs me virtues do not belong to humans. All goodness emanates from God. It is God's kindness and grace. He bequeaths virtues and values to humans. Because we can become arrogant and egoistic. To say, I am compassionate. Where does the compassion come from? From Allah, God Almighty. So this is a charter that has waved in virtues. And these virtues are the building blocks. They are the divine building blocks of human character. I haven't seen a charter before which talked about virtues. Virtues are divine values. So this is a very special charter. I believe divine intervention is at play, which is making humanity to join up hands, create goodwill and harmony between one and all. There are no aliens. There are no enemies. It has been stated. Humanity is one family. Our gurus mentioned this over and over and over again, 500 years ago. मानस की जात सब एक ही पहचान हो. Each one of us is a spark of the divine. We are divinely interconnected and we are divinely interdependent also. So it is great. It is a great day. I feel of rejoicing. We have come up with a great virtuous charter. Humanity, I would say, is to be congratulated. Oh, I congratulate UAE leadership, spearheaded by the most respected Sheikh bin Bayer. He's a holy man. I can say that. And all kind-hearted collaborators and associates for the noble charter that has come up. In passing, allow me to also say, because we've been talking this morning about protection of places of worship. Our first Gurudwara, because our place of worship is called a Gurudwara. Guru is made up of two words, Gu, darkness, Ru is light. Somebody enlightening you can be called a Guru. So the first Guru, Dwara, in Amritsar, was built by the fifth Guru. And he had a Muslim saint lay the foundation for the Sikh Gurudwara, our very first Gurudwara, in the 16th century. And later on, he was tortured. He was made to sit on a burning hot plate. He sat there. And when he was asked why he was undergoing all this torture, he said, I believe this is God's will. And these people who are torturing me, these Muslims, are not my enemies, they are mine. That's what the fifth Guru said. So we are sparks of the divine. We are one family of 7.4 billion, whatever is the number now. And then I must also mention that the opening of the Kartarpur corridor after 72 years by the government of Pakistan and His Highness the Prime Minister Imran Khan is again something very divine. After 72 years, he had to say this. Imagine Mecca and Medina was 4.5 kilometers away and they were not able to get to Mecca and Medina. This is the story of Sikhs being unable to get
to their Makkah and Medina, because the birthplace of Guru Nanak, our first founder Guru, is Nankana Sahib, and the passing away is Kartarpur. He has touched the hearts of every Sikh. We number about 26 million. This is great. This is something that has to be emulated elsewhere in the world. We are not only to protect, and I keep saying sometimes, the first thing is tolerance. Then comes acceptance, followed by respect, and then comes sacrifice for the other, going beyond yourself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sahib, for your words. If you can come and sign on behalf of the Sikh community. But ولكن باي صاحب تحدث عن قضايا هامة، ذكر أن الفضائل ليست مملوكة للإنسان، وركز على مفهوم الرحمة، وذكر أن هذه الفضائل هي اللبنات الأساسية التي تساهم في بناء هذه العلاقات بين مختلف الأديان. Thank you so much. Now I have Sister Aisha Al-Adawiya. Sister Aisha Al-Adawiya is the President of Women in Islam, as well as she is a trustee at the Forum for Promoting Peace, member of the trustees for the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim societies. Sister Aisha, please.
I sit here before you in all of the various identities that I represent here. Long histories of enslavement and rebirth and commitment to struggle for human rights and social justice, not for our individual selves alone, but as a calling to be of service to our fellow human beings. I'm very aware of the fact that many of us here today are questioning the presence of women represented on the forum today, and I share that concern. I also know that this road to building peace is a vital one, and that includes representatives from all the various faith traditions. And I especially want to say thank you to our Sikh brother in New York. They come under attack constantly because they are seen as being Muslim, which is part of the nature of being ignorant and in the grips of bigotry. So I want to thank you for your standing with the Muslim community when they're under attack. They never say, we are not Muslim and they are over there. But they say that when they see injustice, they address it head on. So we are appreciative of that as well. Now, my history is one that after becoming Muslim, being born and raised in a Christian family, and later coming to Islam through contact with Malcolm X. Now, that is a very interesting journey because it led me to the place that I am today. And so I'm very grateful to Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya for giving us another opportunity to find tools to stand strong in the face of adversity and to be certain of the fact that this road to peace is not a glamorous one, it's not an easy one, but it is one that we embrace because ultimately it frees us all from the bigotry that we hold in our own hearts. And I'm eternally grateful for the fact that much of this work that culminates in this charter comes from my own faith tradition, Islam, which is something that we needed desperately, especially in these times. So, Sheikh Abdullah, I thank you for your leadership and for your love.
Thank you so much, Sister Aisha. Thank you so much. We want you to sign, Sister Aisha. So if you can come and sign for us the documents. But as Sister Aisha, she mentioned very critical points, particularly ركزت الأخت عائشة على أهمية دور المرأة فيما يتعلق في قضايا حوار الأديان. I want you to sign, Sister Aisha, here. Yes, please. I'll give you a brand new page here. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. So now we're trying to conclude this session, but before we conclude the session, I know that you have been reading the document, and we wanted in this moment to launch the new website for the Alliance of Virtues. So please put the allianceofvirtues.com. The allianceofvirtue.com is the new website for the Alliance of Virtue. So in this website, we wanted to ask all of you. We're providing you a number of opportunities to sign the document. So you could go online. You could actually use your device right now and go to the allianceofvirtues.com. You can click on charter. So you see there, you can click on charter. And then that will take you to a sign-in page. You can easily sign the Alliance of Virtue to endorse the document. So you have the opportunity to do it online. And also I know that a number of you, they already signed the documents. And also we have stands for you outside the hall, so you can also sign. But I want everyone to get out their smartphone right now and go to allianceofvirtues.com. Now, we already, Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, we just wanted to report to you, we already got about 500 endorsements, 500 signatures from religious leaders and actors from around the world. These 500 religious actors and leaders, Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya, represent major religious organizations and religious actors and leaders around the world. Just to mention the few, the evangelicals around the world, which represented here today, through the Caravan of Peace and through the engagement in the past few years, the one that they already signed the document, they represent 200 congregations, as well as they represent 500,000 evangelicals around the world. Also, in a moment, we will also hear from the Secretary General of the World Evangelical Association, Bishop Tandero, who represent the evangelicals around the world, to endorse the document. From the Jewish communities, we're here today in this conference, in this room. We have representatives from all 4 Jewish denominations around the world. We have representatives from the Orthodox Jewish communities. We have representatives from the conservative Jewish communities. And we do have representatives from the Reformed Jewish communities and the Reconstructionists. So, and there is one organization that I really want to mention that already signed the document, is the International Jewish Committee for Interreligious Consultations, which is really the formal and the official entity that conduct dialogue between religions around the world. So we're very happy to see that. The documents also, in its formation period, was also heavy engagement from Catholic theologians and professors in all of these discussions, which has produced these documents. So with that, the document is your documents, and as we mentioned earlier, we want you to own it. We want you tomorrow to study the document. We want you to come back to us, to the Forum for Promoting Peace, with ideas how this could fit in your own context and how this could be implemented. So please go to allianceofvirtues.com. Now, I want to invite you, Bishop Tandero. We have a couple of minutes for you before we close our session, just to bring the endorsement and to bring the blessings from the World Evangelical Alliance to these documents. Bishop Tandero. We need the microphone for you, or you can do it here, yeah.
Your Excellencies, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed and Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this. I represent the World Evangelical Alliance as its Secretary General, a global network of about 600 million evangelicals around the world. And we want to thank you for your extraordinary commitment to building a world of peace, a world of respect, tolerance, and fraternity. As followers of Jesus, the Prince of Peace, evangelicals are committed to walk alongside with you all to bring a world of peace. We have had fruitful dialogues with leaders from Muslim world, all over the world, and enriched with our diverse theological perspectives, we share your passion on these issues that are being tackled in this conference. I especially appreciate your clear support of freedom of conscience and religion for all persons, and we applaud your efforts and assure you of our support. We wholeheartedly endorse the Charter on Alliance of Virtues. For over 150 years, the World Evangelical Alliance has sought to secure freedom of religion and belief for all, and we have frequently defended the rights of non-Christians. In my home country, the Philippines, we have successfully moved from possibility to necessity in promoting peace. We have engaged in interfaith dialogue in handling particularly the century-old conflict in southern Philippines called Mindanao. And I would like to introduce to you Chief Minister Alhaj Ahod Ibrahim, who is part of our delegation from the Philippines. He was formerly a revolutionary commander leading the Moro Islamic Liberation Front with its more than 200,000 armed combatants. That he engaged in dialogue and peace and advocated and sought peace relations. So that now he is the Chief Minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. And he is a valued colleague in promoting peace in our country and beyond. We are here to represent an example of leaders from different faith traditions who work together to advocate and actualize peace. Let's welcome.
Thank you so much, Chief Minister Ibrahim, the Chief Minister of Mindanao, south of the Philippines. We appreciate your leadership as an agent for peace. So thank you so much. Please join me to applaud the effort of the Chief Minister.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wa bihi nasta'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this very important forum and this signing of the very important documents. I am a member of the Bangsamoro community, a Muslim community in southern Philippines, about 10 million people, and we have been in conflict and war for more than 50 years, since 1968. I myself have been engaged in the combat from 1968 up to the last time when we signed the final peace agreement with the Philippine government in 2014, and now after passing the law in the Congress of the Philippines, we were able to establish a Bangsamoro autonomous government in southern Philippines. This was just established about 6 months ago. We are still working on how we can. I am also the chairman of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, the largest Islamic revolution front in southern Philippines. As Bishop Tindero said, we commanded more than 200,000 combatants in our military rank. And we have millions of followers among our Bangsamoro people. So I'm very proud, and we fought the struggle, and we fought this, but we did not only fight, we also engaged in collaboration with other religious groups in our area. We collaborated with the Christian churches, the different churches of the Christian, the Catholic Church, and the evangelical churches, and all other churches, and also the other religious group in the area, to post unity and in order to succeed in our struggle. So thank you very much for this invitation, and thank you very much.
Bishop Tindero, I just want to get this right. So you are going to sign now on behalf of 600 million evangelicals around the world. Is that right?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay. So please, Bishop Tindero is going to sign the document as the Secretary General of the World Alliance of Evangelicals. 600 million 600 مليون إنجيلي مسيحي يتبع لهذه المنظمة التي سيوقع نيابة عنه القسيس كبير القساوسة تنديرو، باعتبار أنه يمثل هذا التحالف الإنجيلي العالمي. فهو يوقع تصديقا لحلف الفضول الجديد، ويتعهد بتطبيق هذا الحلف في هذه المنظمة التي يمثلها التي تضم الإنجيليين في العالم. Thank you so much, Bishop Tandero. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're coming to an end to this session here, and we want to thank you. Please join me to thank our panel here again, and to thank you, all of you, for signing the charter, the Alliance of Virtue, and we are moving from من الوثيقة إلى الميثاق. We are moving from a statement to declaration. من الوثيقة إلى الميثاق. Thank you so much, and please sign. If you didn't get a chance to do that, please take the moment to sign, and please enjoy your lunch. Thank you so much.